I am trying, I am trying to find him, Doc, and
All
I
right.
don't,
Already, I think we see him. I see
Can you see
Mark
me?
Golden. There you go.
What
M-A-R-C. We see him and
does
I hear it. Okay.
does this work? Can you see me and hear me?
Yes, we
There
hear
you go.
you. And we'll see you. And they'll make you
Perfect.
spotlight here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and spotlight him now, if you don't mind. Let's go ahead and spotlight Mr. Mark Golden. And folks, he's just going to take about 15, 20 minutes, about 15 minutes. And if we can spotlight Mr. Golden there, let's see here.
Dave, go ahead and hit his name and make him a
Awesome,
co-host.
awesome, awesome. And so listen, folks, again, this is a family man. And again, he's not just an entrepreneur. He's not just a coach. He's a man that loves the word of God, loves his wife, his children, listen, his daughter, I should say, his graduate daughter that he coached in basketball and helped her to be one. But anyway, but listen, he's one of 7 sons. And the way he puts it, his mom and dad practiced all the way up till they got to the 7th one, the number of perfection. And here he is. So Mr. Mark Golden, we find out when we share this great opportunity, there are people for some reason, they object, they have objections. And so teach us, how do we handle objections?
Perfect. All right. Thank you for that amazing introduction. Also, Mr. Dave Montgomery, I enjoyed your portion of the training. Thank you so much for that great, clear understanding. And my big takeaway is that in my case, I'm going to say not staking would be misstaking. So I absolutely love this. Hey, we're going to talk briefly, and I won't take long because this is a very, very simple concept. It's simple, but it's not easy. Okay, so we're going to talk about what most people run into when they're trying to share their opportunity. We talked about cooperation the other night as a part of unleashing your inner mogul. But when you're trying to get people to cooperate with you, it doesn't matter if you're inviting them into our opportunity to join your team, whatever it is, sometimes you're met with resistance. And what I want to share with you tonight is we're going to talk about understanding the difference between resistance and an objection. Initial resistance and an objection. Everybody do that where you're at in your seat. I don't care if I can hear you or not, but you do it anyways. Initial resistance and objection. You need to understand the difference between the two. Perfect, gentlemen. Thank you. You need to, and ma'am, thank you. We need to understand the difference between the two so that we don't answer the wrong one with the wrong one. I think the many people used to talk about a lot of words there. But what that means is if all I have is a hammer, everything's going to look like a nail. And so if we become experts at handling objections and we start using a perfect expert objection handling technique, what's going to happen with us is we're going to use that when somebody offers initial resistance and it's not going to work. So we got to learn how to handle initial resistance first. And here's the difference between the two. Initial resistance happens before they've heard what you have to say. An objection happens after they've heard the details, validation, before they've heard anything, as though they've heard everything, we're going to end up with no thing, which is also pronounced in some areas as nothing. Right. So here's the situation. Here's how we're going to do this. I go, let's just say I'm going to tell someone about the Hope Token. I'm going to say, hey, look, I've got this thing that is working great for me. And I'd like to share with you about it because you look like somebody's got some great goals. And they say, whoa, whoa, whoa. My sister-in-law tried this thing 5 years ago, or my uncle tried this, or my dad has products from some other deal stacked up. If they do that and you start treating it like it's an objection, you lose, they lose. Because if they don't get to come into your great opportunity, then they lose. And if you don't get them to come into your opportunity without them even hearing it, then it's a loss for everybody. So here's what we're going to do. What happens is when you tell somebody you've got an opportunity, both hands go over their ears and their mouth starts moving and they say, I've been hurt before. I've been hurt before. And we're all caring, loving, wonderful people. So we don't want to meet that with counter punches and defensive blocking because that's not what this is. This is a cry for help. This says I've been hurt before. And so we need to see that. And the way we can help somebody who's telling us they've been hurt before is to let them know you understand. You know what? I hear what you're saying. It sounds like you're a cautious person. It sounds like you are deliberate before you make important decisions. All that means is I heard you. It doesn't mean you're right. It doesn't mean, oh yeah, you know what, my opportunity is awful. No, it doesn't mean any of that. It means I am open to listening to you. And brother Stan, Dr. Harris, if I say to you, I'm open to listening to you, what does that make you open to?
Listen back to you, because I feel validated.
Man, you stirred my soul. Exactly. And so when you get initial resistance, all they're saying is, I'm used to not being listened to, and I'm afraid because I've been hurt before. And there's an example I like to share. Jesus himself is where I learned this, by the way, from the Bible, from the New Testament. Jesus approached a man who was waiting by the pool to get healed. And he'd been there for a long time, years and years, decades, 30 years, which is, I'm almost that age. I'm kidding. So he'd been there for years and years. And the Lord said, hey, will you be made whole? And it's a yes or no question. And the guy didn't say, yes, I will be made whole. He didn't say, no, I won't be made whole. He said, I've been hurt before. Because what he said is, I come to this pool every year, and when the water's got the healing stuff in it, I don't have anybody, I have no man to help me to the water. Which is a weird answer to a yes or no question. And that all he was saying is, I've been hurt before. So Jesus listened to him, and then he provided solutions. He said, take up your bed and walk. And what you have an opportunity to do is you have an opportunity to help hundreds and thousands of people take up their bed and walk, just by letting them get it off their chest that they've been hurt before. So the way you do it is you embrace the resistance. It sounds like you've thought a lot about this. You seem like a cautious person. You know, you're wise to take your time. You're wise to be cautious. It sounds like you're a discerning consumer. Whatever you want to tell them, it just means that you've heard them. That's not a trick. That's a communication tool. The next thing you want to do is you want to show them a picture of something good. So after I say, it sounds like you're a cautious person, I'm going to say, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to find out a little more about your story, because you seem interesting. Tell me a little bit about what you want for your kids. I know you've got 2 teenagers now, if I remember right. What are some things you want for them? And then sit back and let them answer. Even if they don't answer immediately, let them work themselves into it. And eventually the tears will come, the smiles will come, and they'll begin to share their hopes and dreams. And when somebody entrusts me with their hopes and dreams, what they're saying is, Mark, could I unite with you? Could I be on your team? So I'm going to embrace that resistance. I'm going to promise them some value. Value to them in that moment is letting them share their dreams and their hopes with you. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask a question. And when I get the real answer to that question, we can talk about my opportunity. Because when I ask about their dreams, when I ask about, hey, what are something that you and your spouse want to do in the coming year? Now, I want to buy a house. I want to buy a car. I want to quit my job. I want to end the Sunday night blues. Whatever their answer is, they're saying, Mark, I trust you enough now to let you brainstorm with me. And so then I put my arm around them and I say, you know, it sounds like you're looking for something. It sounds like you might need something that's going to give your family a little boost, and certainly something different than those past experiences. Then you can tell them about your opportunity. You can bring them to the call, and you can let Dave Montgomery share the great news about what we're doing here. You can let Dr. Breakthrough share the great news about what we're doing here. But at the time they arrive on this call, they understand that I was brought here by somebody who gets me. And let me tell you, people fall in love, get married, have babies, grandkids, and all kinds of stuff off of that one foundational principle. They get me. So-and-so gets me. Eyes fill up with hearts. They can't even think straight. Can't wait to go wake up the next morning. Can't wait to see. All of that revolves around finding people who get me. If you're a person out there and you have the ability to let people know that you get them or that you desire to get them, you want to understand them, you probably don't have a whole lot of objections. Now, we're not covering objection handling, we're covering initial resistance. Objection handling is another night. We'll cover all of these things in the training that we made available to you, which I think that expires at midnight tonight, Dr. Breakthrough.
Right.
But we will cover that if you've had a chance to go to the www.goedme site. If you want to register for that training on August 2nd and 3rd, I'm telling you, it is going to be a wonderful time. If that time doesn't work for you, you can register anyways, and we'll schedule you into our next one, which will be the alternative evening edition. But go ahead and get registered while you can get a VIP attendance space for $77,
Wow.
which is normally $397. So I want you to have it. If there's something I can share with you that makes you a better business person, that helps you reach your goals and reach your dreams, if I don't offer you an opportunity to get that information from me, then I'm doing you a disservice. Hide it under a bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. And that's my opportunity to let this shine, whatever I have to offer with you. And I want you to learn how to do that with the people that you work with that are gonna help you build your future, your business, and your life. But Dr. Breakthrough, I'm telling you, if we can get this down, we embrace initial resistance and answer objections. Initial resistance happens before they've heard anything, and objections have to happen after they've heard everything. And when they've heard the details, there's a technique for answering objections that is also a great communication technique. And we're going to show you, we'll cover some of that in future trainings. But today, if you can just get that initial resistance down, you will have done a great thing for yourself. And my final thought is, you mentioned my big sale that I have coming up, or my closing that I have coming up. You know, that started with me showing up at a lady's business because I'm a business broker. And I facilitate the buying and selling of businesses between business buyers and business sellers. And when I showed up at this lady's business to talk to her about selling a business that she started 29 years ago, she didn't say hello when she greeted me at the door. It wasn't really a greeting. She said, I don't trust salesmen, and I really don't trust salesmen who wear ties. I happen to have a tie on that day. And I've been a salesperson my entire life. I believe it is an honorable work. It's up there with farming and computer programming as far as I'm concerned, but I'm biased. So that was the first thing she said. And if I would have treated that like an objection and tried to answer it with all the awesome things that a business broker can do for her, she would have forgotten me by now, and I have forgotten her by now. But I didn't. I told her, I said, you know, it's good to be discerning in these times. A lot of people show up at the door. Hey, tell me, what made you start a wonderful business like this? And she began to talk and share with me about how great it was, and I listened. And then I said, well, it's been 29 years. What do you want to do next? Then she told me about catching up with her grandchildren, getting on the beach, starting another business for her children. And all of a sudden, when she looked into my eyes, she saw an advocate, somebody who's here to help her get what she wants instead of who's here to get something out of her hands. But I had to handle that initial resistance, or there would be no closing, Dr. Breakthrough. I'd be out, you know, looking for somebody else and still getting it wrong because I wouldn't be handling the initial resistance. So that's how valuable what I've just been able to share with you can be for you. It can literally change the course of your life. And it can take you from I hate enrolling people to I absolutely love every part of what I do. Because now you are bringing value and they appreciate it, and you're giving people an opportunity to feel like you get them. Don't forget, go to www.goedme, add this and about 99 other pieces to your business building career, and watch everything change for you in the best of ways. Peace and love to you, everybody. I appreciate you taking the time, and I'm right here. If anybody has follow-up questions, Dr. Breakthrough, I am at your service, sir.
Sure. Well, you gotta, man, I heard you tell a story about the bite thing when you were a teenager. You gotta give them that second point, man, because
okay.
Man, yeah. Feed the bite. Come on, talk to us about feed the bite.
Okay, so here's a simple deal. I'm a big guy, and I've always been big. And so I got hired to work at a camp for people who are mentally disabled and had some adults who are mentally disabled who have serious behavior problems. And I was a teenager. I was probably 18 or 19 years old. And they didn't hire me because I was a brilliant, medical expert of the mind, because I was not. They hired me because I was big. And they have to do passive physical restraint. You have to help people protect themselves from themselves. And that's why they hired me, because they were like, well, you'll do. That's kind of the way it was. But I was excited. It was an opportunity. And I was assigned to a person who was a runner and a biter. Well, I was young and athletic then, so the running didn't bother me. I could catch anybody. But let me tell you, the biting, whoo. So this person that I was assigned to was a biter, so they trained me how to deal with the biter, meaning this person will bite you, Mark. And so they said, they like to get a hold of your forearm. And so when your forearm goes into your mouth, you're going to want to rip your forearm out of their mouth. And I said, well, of course I will. They said, don't do that. Because if I rip my forearm out of their clenched teeth, it's going to really break my skin and cut me pretty bad. And then I'm going to have a whole series of other problems that go along with a human bite that nobody wants to deal with. I said, Mark, when somebody is biting you, you have to do something that is counterintuitive. When they've got your forearm in their mouth, you have to push it further in, because it makes their mouth open wider. And that is not at all what your instincts are going to tell you to do. Your instincts are going to tell you to rip it out, and you're going to cut yourself. And so when that person bit me, I had to do something that was counterintuitive, and I had to feed the bite. Because if I'd have ripped my hand away, it would have been confrontational, painful, and it would have been a medical emergency. And let me tell you, handling initial resistance is counterintuitive. It is opposite of what you want to do. When somebody says that thing, is that one of those, is that an internet scam? Is that a pyramid thing? And you want, all of a sudden, you want to put up your dues. Don't. You want to feed the bite. And the way we feed the bite when we're handling initial resistance is we put our arm around. Not physically, so don't go around grabbing them, folks, if they don't want that. But what we do is we metaphorically, we put our arms around them and we say, it sounds like you had a bad experience. Hey, tell me a little bit about your family and some of the things you want for them. That's all we do. And we move from, hey, that guy wants to get something from me, to that person gets. And let me tell you, if you've got a choice between being those two people, that person wants to get something from me and that person gets me, being the person that gets them will get you and them everything that you want. It's just in the beginning, when you face initial resistance, it's counterintuitive, but we've got to feed the bite. And if we do anything else that is fight-like or flight-like, we're going to end up with something that's not quite right-like. So what we want to do is counterintuitive, feed the bite, embrace the resistance, show a picture of a bright future, and then share what you can do with them. Once they know you get them and you tell them to take up their bed and walk, they're going to do it every time. Not some of the times, not most of the time, but every time. And if you think that it's not possible to get to a place of 80, 90, and even some cases on some days and in some weeks, 100% positive response and enrollment rates in whatever you're trying to accomplish, change what you believe right now and watch this part of your life improve, like in ways you had never dreamed of. Wow. It works socially, it works in your relationships, it works in your families, it works in your communities, it works in your business. Feed the bite. Thank you, Dr. Breakthrough.
Wow. So in conclusion then, because again, our time is up, but so you started off talking about the lady that didn't like you because you had a tie on, you're a salesman. What's the conclusion of that story?
Well, the conclusion of that story is that she entrusted me to list and sell her business that is right around $9 million. And as a result, I get the benefit from a 6% commission and the referral, and probably to help her buy her next business, which is going to be exactly the same thing. And the referral will be worth, almost 8 figures. So I'm just telling you, it's not because I am awesome. It is not because, well, I'm always blessed. If I can draw air, I'm blessed. But it's because I use principles that work every time. There's a way to change a tire. There's a way to fill a car with gas. There's a way to make a pot of grits. There's a way to make an egg. And you got to stick to the way if you want to get the result. But if I go and try to bake cookies with, a cup of salt and, a cup of vinegar, I'm going to end up with something that is not a cookie. But if I stick to the tried and true of what works towards making that cookie, I'm going to get cookies every time. And if you want to get cookies every time, learn how to handle initial resistance and do what works, not what is comfortable, until what works becomes comfortable. Then you'll be on the path to getting everything you want, and you'll be helping people everywhere get what they want.
Man. So folks, again, here's the deal. So again, Mark I got him to give a special deal for training. So go to the way he said most people do a GoFundMe. No, he's doing goedme.com. And listen, my friend, he's going to be going in depth and not just this, teaching you how to get money for your business. I'm going to be speaking also. We're collaborating. So I'm going to be speaking. We already have several of you who've already signed up. I wanted to make sure that, again, tonight, midnight, it goes out. That special only $77 deal. So make sure you take advantage of that. And if you love what you heard, you're going to love being there. So thank you again. Appreciate you, Mark. And folks,
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So unmute your line real quick. If you got any value out of this, come on, unmute your line. Tell me if you like what you heard. Come on now.
Very good job, Mark. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Like what I heard. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
You are awesome.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah, awesome.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Angela.
Thank you.
All righty, y'all.
Thank you, gentlemen.